Hello students, today we are going to discuss, as this is the next part of the video, we are going to study P.B. Shelley, A Defense of Poetry, and this is the text which is in your syllabus, Defense of Poetry, English Critical Text, edited by D.J. Enright and Ernest D. Chiqueira. This is what the book, and this is already, you already have one video for this. So this book, this is in continuation, and we are going to study, because I have already given you this background and these bullet points. Let's come to the next point. In this video, what we are going to do, we are going to read out the text, and then we are going to find out the bullet points or the better explanation of this. In this way, I am trying to make it simple and comfortable for you, so you can read out the text as well as on your own, and then you can have the interpretation as well. So let's start. According to one mode of regarding those two classes of mental action which are called reason and imagination, the former may be considered as mind contemplating the relation born by one brought to another, however produced, and later as mind acting upon those thoughts so as to color them with its own light, and composing from them as from elements other thought, each containing with itself the principle of its own integrity. The one is the word in Greek, or the principle of synthesis, and has its object those from which are common to universal nature and existence itself. The other is the word Greek, or principle of analysis, and its action regarding the relation of things simply as relation, considering thoughts not in their integral unity, but as the algebraical representation which conduct to certain general results. Reason is enumeration of quantities already known. Imagination is the perception of value, those of quality, both separately and as a whole. Reason respect the differences, and imagination the similitudes of things. Reason is to imagination as instrument to the agent, and the body to the spirit as the shadow to the substance. So in this whole paragraph, if you see, we are talking about two things. One is reason and another is imagination. If you just see here, we are talking about two things. Okay, one is reason and imagination. So these, basically he's trying to explain these two things, reason and imagination. And here, how reason has relationship with imagination, this whole idea is here. This, if I draw a line, this from here you will find, this is what, from here you find reason is the, this is what this reason is, the enumeration of the quantity already known. Imagination is the perception of the value of those quantities, both separately as and as a whole. Reason respect the differences, and imagination this similitudes of things. Reason is through imagination as the instrument to agent and the body of spirit. So reason is the enumeration of quantities already known. I mean, the qualities which are already there, we are trying to know them better. Imagination is a perception. So, I mean, maybe these are the two things which we can understand. It's a mental versus physical. What your mind is able to see, and how your mind is able to calculate or measure them. So, imagination becomes that abstract part of the mind, and reason becomes the physical part of the mind. For example, if you see any object, that could be the reason, but what ideas you correlate out of that object is the imagination. I will explain later further again. Poetry in general sense may be defined to the to be expression of the imagination, and poetry is connect with origin of man. Man is instrument over which a series of external and internal impressions are driven, like the alliterations of an ever-changing wind over the Aeolian lyre. Aeolian lyre is an instrument, actually. It's a musical instrument. Uh, he's giving example of that, which moved it by their own motion to ever-changing melody. But there is a principle with the human being, and perhaps within all sentient being, which acts otherwise than in air and produce not melody alone, but harmony. By an internal adjustment of the sound or motion, thus excited to the impression which excite them. See, Aeolian lyre is a big instrument. It's a kind of, if you just see that guitar, and it's a huge big size guitar which is placed in, let me show you. This is the instrument. This is known as Aeolian lyre. So it's a big instrument and it has lot of strings. So even if we don't play this automatically through the help of air, this instrument is making noise. It is converting air into the music. The moment the air strikes these chords, and then it produces music. So these are the forms of Aeolian lyre. This is what Aeolian lyre. It's a musical instrument. Okay. So you can see it comes in a many form, but basically this is the fundamental structure. So poetry. So what does it say? Poetry in a general sense may be defined to be the expression of the imagination, and poetry is connate with the origin of man. Man is an instrument over which a series of external and internal impressions are driven. अगर मैं इसको हिंदी में सीधा सीधा समझाऊँ आपको, तो एओलियन एयर में जिस तरह से अपने आप हवा स्ट्राइक करके ऑटोमेटिकली इट प्रोड्यूस द म्यूज़िक, उसी तरह से आप ये समझें कि ह्यूमन बीइंग एक एओलियन आयर है, पोट्री उसका म्यूज़िक है. अगर मैं इफ़ आई मेक यू एज द सिमिली explain. So the structure, the body of the Aeolian lyre is a human being, and the way the air strikes and then the music produced is the poetry. So human being's mind is automatically musical. The instrument is there, the chords are there, the structure of the music is there. It is only imagination. So poetry becomes that air which strikes to the mind, and then music is being produced. So this kind of simile is being used here. It is as if the air could accommodate its chords to the motion of that which strikes them in determined proportion of the sound, even as a musician can accommodate his voice to the sound of the air. A child at play by itself will express its delight by its voice and motion, and every inflection of the tone and every gesture will bear exact relation to corresponding antitype in a pleasurable impression which awakened. It will be the reflected image of the impression, and as the air trembles and sounds after the wind has died away, so the child seeks by prolonging in its voice and motion of the duration of the effect to prolong as a consciousness of the cause in relation to the objects which delight a child. These expressions are what poetry is to higher objects. The savage, for the savage is 2 ages, with the child is 2 years. Express the emotions produced in him by surrounding objects in a similar manner. The language is gesture together with its plastic or pictorial imagination become the image of combined efforts of those objects and of his apprehension of the man. Man in society with all his passion and his pleasure next becomes the object of the passion and pleasure of man. An additional class of emotions produced an augmented treasure of expression, and language, gesture and imitative arts become at one the representation and medium, the pencil and the picture. the chisel and the statue, the chord and the harmony. The social, so these similes you have to remember how these are being drawn here. So please note down, these are the comparison which is being done here, and you have to remember them. You have to read them again. As the treasure of the expression and language, gesture and imitative art become one representation. The way medium, the pencil and the picture, how this correlation is being settled. Chisel and the statue, and chord and the harmony. How this chord create the harmony. How this chisel is able to shape the statue, and how this pencil is able to write down or make the picture. So please remember these correlations. The social sympathize over those laws from which, as from its elements, society results begin to develop themselves from the moment that two human beings coexist. The future is contained with the present, and the plants with the seeds. And equality, diversity, unity, contrast, mutual dependence become the principle alone capable of affording the motives according to which the will of the social being is determined to action. In as much as is social and constitute pleasure in sensation, virtue in sentiment, beauty in art, truth in reasoning, and love in the intercourse of kind. Hence, man even in the infancy of society observe a certain order in those their words and action, distinct from that of the object and impression represented by them, all expression being subject to the laws of laws that from which it proceed. But let us dismiss those more general considerations which might involve an inquiry into the principle of society itself, and restrict our view to manner in which the imagination is expressed upon its form. So now let's come to the bullet points. Reason versus imagination, and I already told you this whole paragraph is about reason versus imagination. So what is reason? Focus on the relationship between the thoughts. Analytical, breaking down ideas into their constituent parts. Deals with logic, deduction and enumeration of the known qualities. Concerned with the differences and distinctions. Act like an instrument or tool for the imagination. This is what reason. And what is imagination? Combines and transforms thoughts, coloring them with unique perspective. Synthesize elements into new and original creations. Perceive the value and significance of the ideas as whole. Concerned with similarities and connections. The driving force behind creative impressions. Poetry as the expression of imagination. Poetry is the embodiment of the imagination, giving form to internal and external impression. Human beings like an aeolian air and are constantly influenced by the range of experiences that shape their thoughts and emotions. Imagination allows individuals to organize these experiences into meaningful and harmonious expressions, much like a musician crafting a melody. Then the origin of the poetic expression. Children naturally express their delight through sounds and movements, reflecting their inner experiences. Savage societies also utilize language, gesture and art to represent their understanding of the world. These early forms of expression lay the foundation for more sophisticated form of poetry and art. Influence of social interactions. As humans interact, their emotions range expands, leading to a richer and more complex array of expression. Social interactions give rise to new emotion and desire, which are then reflected in art and literature. The principle of equality, diversity, unity, interdependence within society shape artistic expression, order and structure in poetic expression. Even in early societies, there is an inherent order and structure in human expression, influenced by social and cultural context. This order transcends the immediate subject matter, reflecting the underlying principle of human interaction. This analysis highlights the key distinction between reason and imagination, emphasizing the role of imagination in shaping human expression, particularly those through poetry. It traces the origin of the poetic expression from childhood play to complex social interactions, demonstrating how human experience and societal structure influence artistic creation. So, I think you might find it difficult, but it's very easy. Let me explain you. Reason. Focus on the relationship between thoughts. See, reason is always much more complicated than imagination. So reason is a more logical and a complex part of brain, and imagination is much smoother and simpler part of the brain. So focuses on the relationship between thoughts. Reason, reason ही बताएगा कौन सा आइडिया अच्छा है, कौन सा बुरा है, even why the thoughts are coming. Analytical breaking down the ideas into their constituent part, and reason always even break the ideas. It analyze even what. For example, you are sitting somewhere and you start thinking about your friend, and then you think why he did like that, why he was speaking, why the other girl came and she was behaving in a particular way. So the situation is already there, the memory is already there, and you are analyzing, critically analyzing. So reason is that part of it. Deals with logic. Reason deals with logic, deduction and enumeration of non-qualities. So you will always find that reason is always it's a logical part, right? Then concern with the difference and distinction, acts like an instrument or tool to the imagination. So imagination, whatever imagination is there in our mind, it becomes as a tool, instrument. For example, you want to repair your car. So if the car becomes the object, then the instrument through which you will open it becomes the imagination. Now let's come to what is imagination. Combines and transforms thoughts, coloring them unique perspective. So imagination actually put all the thoughts together, synthesize elements into new and original creation. It is always high in the creation. It is always flying and then getting new ideas. So perceive the value and significance of the ideas as a whole. Concern with similarities and connections, the driving force behind creative expression. Poetry is always imaginative, because see, the logic put the barrier to our mind. For example, you say, I want to open a business, or I want to go to Oxford. This is what your imagination. Then your logical mind will say, how would you go? Where is the money? What is the procedure? How to get admission? Where to stay? So these are the logic. So logic actually put or cut the imagination. It put the realistic barrier. But imagination is high. So, but anyway, if you are able to combine imagination and logic, then the creation is powerful. Because for that, then you have to work, you have to go. So in this way, we can combine imagination and logic. So poetry as the expression of imagination. Poetry is the embodiment of the imagination, giving form to internal and external expression. Human being like an aeolian lyre. So if we say human being is, I told you actually, this is what the aeolian lyre is there. It is this kind of instrument basically. Okay. So it is this kind of instrument, and this is the more, if I make it like this. Okay, let me make this with this. Okay. So if I make this is kind of, it is this kind of instrument. Okay. So it is, and it is this way it is placed here. And here you will find that it has, let me draw lines. So it has chords, okay? These are the strings. These are the chords. And the moment these chords strike to air, it produces music, okay? So it produces music. So what the writer is trying to say, that this body, this body of the instrument, it is a human mind, and this whole is human. This whole structure is human, and this string is already there, and the air, the air which is coming and striking it becomes the imagination. So this part become the imagination, this air part become the imagination. That's what the correlation you have to understand. What is this aeolian air? Experience that shape their thoughts and imagination. Imagination allows individuals to organize these experiences into meaningful and harmonious expression, much like musician crafting a melody. Origin of poetic expression. Children naturally, and that's what in the beginning also I said, even if those which are very small children, they understand rhythm. That's why we have small children's poem. It's not poem actually, these are rhymes. So, wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round all day long. So this wheels on the bus go round and round is, I don't know how much logic you are able to put it, but children dance. Those who are 1.5 year, 2 year, 3 year, they just dance, and then they just act. So this is how the musical part of the human brain is instinct. Already these codes are there. So if I say the musical part is these codes, it is already existing in the human mind. Okay, then let's come to the okay, now then children naturally express their delight through sound and movement. Okay, savage societies also utilize language, gesture and art to represent their understanding of the world. These early forms of expression lay the foundation of more sophisticated poetry and art, and then social instruction. Human interact, their emotion language range expand and leading to the richer and more complex expression. Social interaction give rise to new emotion and desires. So principle of equality, diversity, unity and interdependence within the society shape artistic expression. Even in early societies, there is an inherent order and a structure in human expression. So you can actually read out these again, because I'm leaving these parts to you, and in this way you can actually read out. You can come back to the this text and you can read out. These are the paragraph which you can actually pause the video and write down them. So this is how today we discuss this at the next part, and which is basically reason and imagination. So I wish you all the best, and I already told you what is that you have to remember. This one video is already there. Again we are doing MA English semester 2, and criticism and theory is a paper, and then PB Shelley, a defense of poetry, DJ and Wright and Ernest D. Chiquera. This is what the book prescribed in your syllabus. Okay, this is the book which is prescribed in your syllabus, and you please remember this, right? So today we are dealing with the second part, reason and imagination, and you come back and then you read again this whole paragraph again. Okay, this is significant para, and you can formulate your own understanding and idea. This text is also available on Google free of course, so please see that. Thank you so much. Like, share and subscribe, and give me more ideas so I can what is the basic idea, in what way you want this class should go on. So please write me. See, negative comments are not entertained. I'm not here to see your bullshit which you write, so those will not be entertained. But if there is any proper logical and in anything which is good, I will definitely take care of it. God bless you. Thank you. Do well in your exam.